All right, everybody, welcome back. Good late morning. Hope you guys are doing well. And now it's time to dive into what I would consider to be the most important position for the Seahawks to address in free agency this year. Yes, even more important than running back because of the nature of the Shanahan scheme and the nature of just the running back position in general compared to this position, edge rusher, edge defender, defensive end, outside linebacker, whatever you want to call it. This to me is the most important thing to think about as we head into 2026. So pay special attention. There's going to be a lot of videos today talking about some options at edge rusher. And I believe the Seahawks need to do well here, or else 2026 is not going to be the season that we hope it can be. So let's talk this through, understanding where the Seahawks are right now. All right, everybody, before we go any further into this video, I want to take a minute to tell you guys about the Sleeper app and some new functionality they've recently rolled out, Team Picks. With Team Picks, you can pick winners in all kinds of sporting events. Right now, we have NBA basketball, college basketball, NHL hockey is going on, baseball's going to start in a little more than a month, and of course, you have futures in the NFL, even though the games in the NFL are over. Right now, if you look to my left here, you can actually see you can bet on next year's Super Bowl winner. They've got the Seahawks leading the way in those odds, by the way, at 12%. How does that make you feel as a Seahawks fan? But you can bet on MVP, you can bet on draft picks, you can bet on player destinations, all kinds of fun stuff, even though the season is over. So that is Team Picks over on Sleeper. A lot of fun stuff you can do. All right, so edge rusher, the Seahawks have Derek Hall in the final year of his rookie deal. Nice player, but doesn't look like he's going to be a star, and at least not a upper level star. And Demarcus Lawrence, who is great, but he's going to be 34. And I think it's safe to say that both guys are in their final year as Seahawks. Maybe we keep Derek Hall, but I would be pretty surprised if Lawrence wasn't retired this time next year. We'll see, but there is a real possibility that those guys only have 1 year left. Uchenna Nwosu, I think he's going to be gone this offseason. I think we're releasing him. Even if we don't, we can't depend on him because it feels like his body is breaking down. So you can't depend on him to be much more than just a snap eater who can play the run well. And then you've got Boye Mafe, free agent, to be almost certainly gone. So there's not a lot going on at the edge rusher position the Seahawks can feel great about at this moment. Now, there are trades you can make, but let me be very clear about this. You do not want to draft an edge rusher and then expect that edge rusher to be something special as a rookie. That doesn't happen very often. Edge rusher, maybe more than other positions in this league, needs time to work out whatever it is they're going to be. Derek Hall's a great example of that. Derek Hall did nothing as a rookie and then had 8 sacks in his sophomore year. So we need some of these guys, and we need the guys we get to be good, or else there's just not going to be enough pressure off the edge. And I don't see how we get to where we want to get to if we can't get pressure off the edge. We barely managed it with the edge room we had last year, and I can pretty much guarantee you that as of right now, it's going to be way worse in 2026 as things currently stand. So let's talk about some guys we could get to replenish the edge room. We're going to start with a popular guy here, Trey Hendrickson. I have to acknowledge the fact that I'm wary of Hendrickson. Now, he's had a great career, made 4 straight Pro Bowls with the Bengals, was on the team the year they went to the Super Bowl, was on the team the year they went to the AFC Championship game, had 35 total sacks over 2 seasons in 2023, 2024. And he was also a pretty good player for the Saints before he left there. That was a long time ago. We're not really thinking about that. But last year, contract dispute, only played 7 games, had 4 sacks. It was definitely a little bit of a warning sign. And I know there are caveats, right? He only played the 7 games. He didn't really have a full off season because the Bengals jerked him around. But he's already 31. He's going to be 32 in December. And you're getting this big flashing neon sign that he's not the all-pro guy that he was in 2024 anymore. He's not the Pro Bowler that he was for 4 straight years from 2021 to 2024. So do you wanna ignore that big neon flashing sign and just go, "We're gonna give this guy money?" Because you're probably gonna have to give him some pretty serious money. For whatever it's worth, Pro Football Focus thought he was really good last year despite the reduced production. And you go back to 2024 when he led the league in sacks, they thought his grade was excellent. Although I should point out, and this is another thing to me, they are not high on his run defense. And it seems like this is a player who has sacrificed his run defense to go chase sacks. That may not work in this defense. Also, I look at Trey Hendrickson and I see a 4-3 guy, a guy who plays with his hand in the dirt. I don't know if he can play standing up like in this defense. So it may not be a fit on the face of it. And according to Spotrac, you're going to have to pay a lot of money to find out the answer to these questions. They have him at 2 years, 50.9 million. That's 25.4 million per year. I mean, if you guess wrong on any of the things that I just talked about, his fit in a 3-4, whether or not he's washed up, whether or not he's capable of defending the run effectively, you're paying a lot of money for that mistake. So this one is a tough sell for me. I'm not a big fan of it. Next guy I want to talk about here, because we are talking about the upper level guys first here, Odafe Oweh. And this one, there's a lot of reasons why the Seahawks might be sniffing around here. Just turned 27 a few months ago, so he's in his prime, entering his prime now. Former Mike McDonald player, right? Because he was in Baltimore for the 2 years McDonald was the DC there, and that connection may end up weighing heavily in his decision on where to go this offseason. He wasn't a Raven last year. Well, he was for part of the season, but he got traded to the Chargers and ended up having a nice contract push with the Chargers. He had 7.5 sacks in 12 games. The year before that, he had 10 sacks, kind of his breakout year. That is one thing that's worth noting. He had his breakout year um, after McDonald left, but he was still a notable, useful player under McDonald. And there's reason to believe 2023 would have been his breakout year, but then he missed about a month of the season with an injury. Um, I don't necessarily believe that Oweh is a every down full-time player, but that should be fine. Like, this guy's probably going to be like a pure pass rusher in this league more than anything else to me, and that's okay. I don't have a big issue with that. I think you can get by with players like this in a rotation, and he's very talented, former first round pick. It kind of feels like Oweh would be the he's kind of like Boye Mafe, but a lot better, at least a lot more productive as a pass rusher. And maybe trading up from Boye Mafe to Odafe Oweh would be the move here. So Pro Football Focus thought he was good last year, 2025. They gave him a good grade. Go back to 2024, they liked him as well. Not one of the best players in the league, but a very effective edge rusher who, I mean, he had more sacks than anybody in our edge rusher room last season, playing on a team that wasn't even that good. Well, the Chargers were good, but they weren't what people were expecting. Now, the price is going to be steep. According to Spotrac, 3 years, 58 million. That's 19.3 million per year. So you are going to have to pay a lot of money, but at least you have a pretty good idea of what you're getting. And I think the price is appropriate for what you are getting with Oweh. This is what edge rushers go for these days. Even a tier 2 or maybe tier 3 guy like Oweh. And look, you do the math, you put it all together, there is a strong possibility that Odafe Oweh would be a 10 sack a year guy for you pretty consistently as long as you give him a good team to work on. All right, next guy, this is going to be one of my top guys this offseason. This is one of the guys I really want this team to target, and there are a few reasons why. Khalil Mack, this is a Mike McDonald kind of player. This is a guy who's proven he can excel in a 3-4 defense. This is a guy who has been in 3-4 defenses for a significant portion of his career, and he has been a phenomenal he's probably gonna be a Hall of Famer. Former Defensive Player of the Year, former 3-time All-Pro, 9-time Pro Bowler, been an absolute monster on a bunch of different teams with the Raiders, with the Bears, with the Chargers, 113 sacks, one of the great players of his era for sure. And he's a freak, right? He's a physical freak. This is a former top 5 overall pick. So you know that he's not going to just run out of gas overnight. He's going to have gas that some players don't because of his natural freakish talent. So even though he's old, he's 35, right? He just turned 35 a couple days ago. Or actually, now that I think about it, yesterday. Pretty cool. I'm not worried about him suddenly waking up tomorrow and not being able to get the job done. Obviously, I don't think he's going to be a 17 sack guy anymore. I don't think he's even going to be a double-digit sack guy, but he's going to be an effective pass rusher who gives you somewhere around 6 to 8 sacks, and he's going to hold up really well against the run and be a very effective player. Pro Football Focus still loves him, still thinks he's one of the best edge players in the league. Go back to 2024, by the way, they thought he was literally elite. And he made the Pro Bowl, even though he only had 6 sacks, which is not hard to do. This is a great player. And the price, so here's the thing. Botrax says 1 year, $18.4 million. I don't think it's going to cost that much if you are giving Khalil Mack an opportunity to win the Super Bowl. Because Khalil Mack, not only does he not have a Super Bowl ring, he does not have a playoff win. Khalil Mack is 0-6 in the postseason. So if you get Khalil Mack, then you are getting a player that is hungry for team success. And maybe if you tell him, we got a chance to win it all this year, and clearly we do, he gives you a discount. I don't know if it's going to be a huge discount. Maybe it's just like 1 year, $15 million, but it's good. And to me, this is kind of the perfect ring chasing setup. A player that we need, a player that can help us a lot, and a player that is going to, I think, be very eager to join up on a team that he thinks can go all the way. And the team that just went all the way last year is probably going to be very appealing to him. So Khalil Mack is my dude. Get this guy on a 1-year deal. Try to send him out a champion, or at the very least, give him an opportunity to compete at the highest level that he's never really had in his career. Fourth guy in this group is Kwity Paye, and I struggle with this one a little bit. On the surface of it, Kwity Paye is one of the few guys that you can get in this free agency crop that would be a long-term edge solution for you. Him and Odafe Oweh are probably the 2 best candidates, but he didn't necessarily have the 2025 some people expected. Didn't break out, only had 4 sacks on a team that was good for most of the year. And we can see that he had better production getting to the quarterback in previous seasons. So I don't totally know what happened. He's still a good player, still a useful player. I'm not taking anything terrible away from him. He did actually have more pressures in 2025 than he did in the previous 3 seasons, but it is a little bit noteworthy that the sack production disappeared. I believe he spent his whole career playing in a 4-3. I don't know how he would do with the transition to the 3-4. Yeah, that's kind of a little bit of a mystery box. Pro Football Focus did not like his 2025 at all. They thought he was a below replacement level player and pretty far down the list. And even you go back to 2024, they thought he was okay, but they weren't super excited about him. You have to go back to 2023 to find a year where they graded him decently, and it's still not amazing. Now, he is entering his prime. He's 27 years old now. He's going to turn 28 in November. So you are getting his best years, but it's not going to be cheap. You're looking at 3 years, 53.6 million. That's almost 18 million per year. I think that's probably about right. I think that's probably appropriate for a player like him. And I don't know if I want to be doing that when I don't know if I'm getting anything over the top special. I'm just not sure because, again, I don't think he's ever played standing up before in the NFL. So it might not be a fit. And there are a couple of warning signs here. And unlike Mack or maybe even Hendrickson, he's not going to ring chase. He's going to get as much money as he can because he hasn't really gotten all that much money in the NFL yet. So you're not going to be able to tempt him with a ring. Not right now, I don't think. All right. So that's the top tier to me. Let me know what you guys think. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Those are the guys that I would at least start with when I'm trying to find the big guns at edge.